We have 119 days to make this work because that's when our lease ends. And right now we have $6,000 left in savings. Almost 4 years ago, I quit my 9-to-5 corporate engineering job to pursue a different life, to find other ways to make money and not have to be stuck working in a cubicle because that was driving me absolutely insane. Fast forward to about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, my husband decided to also quit his job to join me in building my business because things had been going pretty well for the past 3 years. The problem with this is that we decided to do this quite abruptly, kind of similar to how I decided to quit my 9-to-5 job. We had just got back from a trip to Japan for a couple of weeks, and my husband told me that he wanted to try working with me. It's something I'd offered him in the past, and he thought it was time to give it a shot. Now, in the past, when I have offered this to him, I had been in more of a stable place, not only with my business, but also with my health and my life. And things really took a turn for me in the past year. I was diagnosed with both a pituitary tumor called a prolactinoma and also with POTS. And that really impacted my ability to work in any type of full-time capacity. And I put the concept of launching an official business on the back burner for quite a while. So when he approached me and shared that he wanted to try doing this together, I was honestly quite a bit nervous because we didn't have a roadmap for launching the business. We didn't really have a plan of how we were going to double the income and make it replace his. All we knew is that I currently was getting paid $50 an hour for the work I was doing, and he was currently getting paid $21 an hour at his job. So it felt like it made sense that if he quit his job and joined me, that really we would just need to add in 20 more hours of work to replace the money that we were currently making. And at the time, I was really only working about 20 hours a week myself. So hypothetically, we could live off of a 40-hour a week, $50 an hour schedule if we could get enough work to sustain that. But the biggest problem out of all of these issues was the fact that we only had $10,000 in savings. So we had to make this work pretty quickly. And it really brought me back to the feeling I had when I first quit my 9-to-5 job, when I think I had about $10,000 in savings, and we went full-time on my husband's income, which at the time I think he was making like $16 or $18 an hour at his full-time job in DC. And it was in the middle of COVID, and we said, screw it, let's just try to do this. Well, he said he was down to let me say screw it and try to do this, and somehow I made it work. But the biggest factor that we dealt with then is the same one we're dealing with now, and I found it to be a super amazing motivator, which is that while we're in this period of time trying to make this work in the next 119 days, the one thing that I'm concerned about, which is the same thing I was concerned about almost 4 years ago when I quit my corporate job, was that we had a lease. We were contractually obligated to pay the payments of this lease until the end of it. Now that we have gone through the process of living with family members 2 different times in the past few years for very short periods of time, I feel pretty comfortable with the idea and know, because my mom has offered the ability for us to stay with her if needed, that if anything were to happen and we can't make this work, we do have backup plans. We also have the option of just moving somewhere much cheaper because last year we actually moved into the biggest and most expensive apartment we've ever had since we got married and since we both have really moved out from home. So we are currently paying $2,600 for this apartment. And if we took that expense out from our monthly expenses, we would only be spending about less than $2,000 a month for everything else that we have to pay for. So it goes without saying that if we can just make it through the end of our lease, then we will be fine, because then we could move to a cheaper place or move in with family. Ideally, we just get to stay here because we love it here, but that's where this 119 days is coming from. So with that being said, it's pretty obvious that with $10,000 in savings, and now we're only down to $6,000 in savings, 119 days is really not that far. It's effectively about 4 months that we have left of this lease, which means 4 months of expenses with the lease payment included. So we really only have about $1,500 in leeway of cash savings to use each month towards our expenses. Lately, our goal has been that if we can just spend no more than $4,500 a month, that we should hypothetically be in a place right now where we could make $4,500 $4,500 a month and literally just break even. But that is also pre-tax. So that means that when it comes to paying taxes, we're really dipping into our savings quite a bit. So yeah, we're figuring it out. Hence the start of us sharing this journey of trying to make it work in the next 119 days because we literally have no other option. So what exactly are we trying to make work? Well, I have had this idea in my brain quite literally for 4 or 5 years at this point that has slowly developed and changed into something completely different for my business than I ever really expected. And that is the Align Hub. The name has been a development over the past few years and finally was decided on just over 1 year ago. And the goal is to literally launch this business officially with the name that we have chosen in the next 119 days and get it to a place where it is making over $4,500 a month each month in profit and post-tax. Because if we can do that, then we can sustainably live off of the money that we're currently making indefinitely versus right now we have this like makeshift calculation going on that really doesn't allow us to keep doing this indefinitely. So the reason I'm sharing this whole journey and this process is for two things. One, for myself, to hold myself accountable, to track the process and be able to look back on it and see that I built something I was really proud of, because that is something I'm so happy I have with all of the footage and videos I've posted in the past almost 4 years since quitting my job. I love being able to look back on where I was at and how far I've come and just see the growth in real time. I think it's so fun to be able to see that and extremely motivating and validating too. But number two, because I really want to show this process to you guys and show you what's possible, because I have not seen a lot of content out there that's showing something like this. I've seen people show the process of launching products, of creating channels and social media profiles. I've seen people show the after effect of building a business. And even in that realm, what I have seen is more commonly these huge businesses that are generating crazy amounts of money. But I have not seen anyone talk about the process of building a small, sustainable, family-run, very low stress, low stakes business from scratch. Now, from scratch, what does that mean? Well, I obviously already have clientele. I've built experience over the past few years, but what I've shared in the past few years is really the building blocks of getting to this point. So that information is all out there already. It just might not be streamlined and packaged to actually watch it very structured. But at this point, I have no website. All I have is a business name. I have my original LLC. I do not have one in the new business name. And I want to share that entire journey with you. I want to share with you how I'm actually changing and shifting from an hourly freelancer to a business owner that has packages and service offerings to really scale up my business and allow myself to have more support from my husband, because right now we're still in the place where all the work is just landing on me and there's very few things I've been able to bring my husband in on to get his support. So really, I just want to show you that this process is, one, not an overnight process. Two, it is not a linear process. It's not something that you figure out and create a plan for and execute and it's just going to happen super easy and streamlined. I want to show that it's something that changes and evolves over time and that that's completely okay, because I feel like there's this black box over the idea of building your own business and actually making it profitable that no one actually talks about. And so that's really what I want to show. Now, next, I'm going to talk about our actual plan. So how we are hoping to accomplish this and what our goals are and really how we're going to do it, because obviously we do have some plan already set up to do this. But before I do that, I just want to add here that if there's anything specific you want to see during this process, please let me know in the comments below, because although a lot of this is new to me, some of it is quite old to me and feels pretty obvious, not only because I've been in business for myself now for over 3 years, but also because what I'm about to do is literally what I do for client work. So this is what I've been helping other business owners do the entire time I have been freelancing. So for me, again, a lot of it just feels obvious and repetitive, and I want to make this as helpful for you guys as possible. So let me know in the comments what you want to see of this process, what questions you would have, which things you find the most complicated that you want to know more about, and I'll make sure to update and share more about that. But let's get into the plan. So I've somewhat already hinted and described it, but really at the end of the day, the plan is to, in the next basically 4 months, me and my husband want to, number one, launch the official website for the Align Hub, which that is like the biggest like the biggest outcome that needs to happen from this. And as much as it sounds like this simple thing, so many behind the scenes pieces have to come into play to actually accomplish that big goal and that big outcome. So that's going to be like phase one. Phase one, literally the outcome will be to launch the Align Hub website. To do that, I'm going to need to do things like figure out what our service offerings are, get testimonials from my past clients, figure out what the website copy is going to be, figure out what the branding and design of the company is going to be, figure out exactly what I'm going to charge for these service offerings. And then the hardest one for me, which is getting photos for the website. So those are all the phase one tasks. If we can get all of that done in the first month of this 4-month plan roadmap challenge, then I will be ecstatic, because after phase one, phase two is the launch phase. So this is the part where I really want to actually launch the business. So the website will be built. I want to have social media profiles created directly for the Align Hub. I want to officially launch the newsletter for the Align Hub. I want to build out funnels for the Align Hub. I want to have lead generators for the Align Hub, and I want to have a streamlined sales process and referral process that works for me instead of working against me, which is the biggest thing I've been struggling with for the past year. So just a quick little background there. Primarily, all of my leads have been coming from referrals for the past almost 4 years, which is an amazing problem to have because it means that I don't have to go out looking for leads. But the bad part of this is that I spend a lot of time talking to people and networking with my clients to get to the point of actually signing a contract with a new client. What that means is I'm spending way too much time in the discovery phase with potential clients. And I've already streamlined this process quite a bit just through trial and error and what I've seen and dealt with over the past 4 years. But it is not concrete, and I don't have it set up to run well when I actually have a package offering and I'm not just jumping on a call saying, hey, yeah, I charge $50 an hour. What do you need help with and how can I help? And then talking with the client, discovering what their needs are and basically meeting them where they're at and then agreeing on $50 an hour. Now I want to have a streamlined package structure that not only makes things easier for the client because they know exactly what they're going to be paying to get XYZ result, but it also makes things easier for me because I know how much I can take on from a hours basis because I know what I'm agreeing to ahead of time. And I also have the ability to plan forward with profit and cash flow for the business, which is something we haven't done. So that's kind of another like tick off the box of something that would be awesome to see throughout these next 4 months, which is the ability to actually cash flow the business and not be just taking all of the profit for ourselves to pay our bills. Because I've been in that loop for 4 years now, and the only money that we have been setting aside from the business for the business is literally just to pay taxes. So I would love to be able to have money in a business account that's separate from ours to be able to say, wow, we have XYZ amount of money saved up. We could invest in a new camera. We could invest in a new computer. We could invest in ads. We could invest in hiring a VA to support us. But right now, everything is literally month by month. So that is like a huge milestone in the phase two roadmap that I think is going to be super helpful, which will only come with completing phase two of actually launching the business. Which brings me right into the final phase, which will be what we really want to get to before the 4 months, which will only come after phase one is done. We've launched the website. Phase two is done. We have launched the business, the sales plan, the funnel effectively, and gotten to the point of actually starting to get get clients in this new structure of the Align Hub. When we get to this point, the goal is that we are making, this is like the lofty goal, we are making $10,000 a month in revenue from the business. So I could start to break down what that would look like and how we would do that and what we need to do to get there. But I think that would be better suited for a future video if you guys are curious about how we're planning to actually, forecast out our revenue and our profit and figure out what we need to price for and what we can manage to get to that number. But at the end of the day, if we could get to $10,000 a month, again, I feel like I'm being so lofty here, like realistically, if we need $4,500 a month, we only need to get to $6,000 to like successfully not have to move in with family or even move to a cheaper place. But again, I'm being like lofty goal here. If we could make $10,000 a month, that would be absolutely amazing, because that would put us in the position where we're not living paycheck to paycheck. We're actually investing into our retirement. We're actually able to afford health insurance, and we can continue living where we want to live. So really that is like the overall goal. That's what we need to make work in the next 4 months, because 4 months from now, we will be 6 months from the time that my husband quit his job. And if at that point we still are unable to afford health insurance, we're still unable to invest in retirement, unable to save for a larger emergency fund instead of dipping into the one we currently had built, that's gonna mean that we can see this as a future for us. Now, if we don't achieve that goal, does that mean we're gonna give up and either me or my husband's gonna go back to work, or we're going to have to move in with family? Not necessarily. There's obviously, again, if we hit the 6,000 mark, we could forecast out and decide we're gonna give it a little bit longer, but that's really what I would love to see. That would be like the best case scenario, is that we're making 10,000. So that is phase 3, making $10,000 a month in revenue. Again, not profit, revenue. And for those of you who don't know, that just means we're making $10,000 a month is coming in from sales from the clients. And that's, again, before paying taxes, before paying any business expenses and anything like that. So that is the goal, the outcome. But when it comes to the last thing I want to talk about, which is success, I really want to talk about this concept of defining success, because yes, I could say that if we made $10,000 a month, then it would be a success. But realistically, that is not the only thing that defines success for us. Being able to make $10,000 a month would be amazing, and making more than that would be amazing, but also making $8,000 a month would be amazing. And even making $6,000 a month and seeing that we can sustain this for a longer run would be amazing. So something that's really important, not only for us in this time, but also just that I want to share with you guys to consider for anything that you're trying to do in your life, whether it's a business, social media, or just your own career path, or building a family, or anything, is that you have to define what success actually means for you. And this is something that I actually worked through in therapy with my amazing therapist last year, because maybe 2 years ago now, honestly, because I had been running off of other people's version of success for so long that I was incapable of even seeing and thinking about what my version of success looked like. When I was able to actually ask myself and answer the question of what would be a success for me, then I was so much happier in my life, because I was not constantly running around in circles trying to do what other people wanted me to do and feeling disappointed when I didn't meet someone else's version of success. Instead, I could base my decisions, my goals, my plans, my not happiness, but my happiness in the outcome based off of what I actually saw as success. So for the Align Hub, for me and my husband, the biggest proof of success for us will be that we're building a sustainable business. And what do I mean by sustainable business? Because sustainable could mean like 1,000 things. And I'm not talking about sustainability in terms of like environmental sustainability, because our business is online and it's not really gonna create a big footprint. Anyways, I digress. What I mean by sustainability is we can do this for the long run. Like, this is not something that's only going to last for a few months or a few years. This is something that we can see ourselves doing for the foreseeable future, for when we have children involved, for whether my health is up or down. Because the past few years, going through all the changes in my health and things that have happened to me, that has been the biggest piece for me that I have found so important. And it's been the biggest like piece of the puzzle for me, but it also has been the biggest source of peace for me, which is that while I have been dealing with all these health problems, I have been able to work from home and work with the people that I choose to work with, cut out the clients that are not handling my ups and downs very well, and really surround myself with people that are encouraging, that are positive, that are supportive of me. And I want to continue that for the rest of the lifespan of our business, because I don't know what my health's gonna look like. I don't know how long the POTS symptoms are going to be as bad as they are right now. I don't know what it's gonna look like when we eventually have kids. So having a sustainable business is the number one marker of success for me. And that is something that is going to be super important for me when building this, because a few years ago when I wasn't in as bad of a state as I have been the past year with my health, I saw this huge vision for my business that it was going to be huge. Like I was going to have, I don't know, 50 employees one day, and the sky was the limit for how big I wanted my business. But that is the opposite of what I want now. I want a sustainable small business that can stay in our immediate family. We can bring in help when we want help for the purpose of allowing ourselves a bit more freedom, but we don't have to continue bringing in more and more help and scaling it bigger and bigger. We can keep it at a handleable level and build it in such a way that we have an exit path for us laid out from the beginning. So that is something I've been really big on since working with so many small business owners that have felt the same as me, which is building a business that they can eventually exit or start a new business from the profit of that business, and be able to just keep on going with what they're interested in instead of being sucked in and stuck in one specific thing that they might not be interested in 5 to 10 years. Or if they're now a stay-at-home mom, they might not want to do that exact business anymore. So building a sustainable business is number one priority, and that is the biggest marker of success for us. So ask yourself, with whatever you're doing, what is your marker of success? Even if it's just in your career right now and you're watching this video because you're like, I want to have a business one day and be able to quit my job. What is your marker of success? Even in your current career, what's your marker of success? Because when I was in my job, I thought my marker of success was, growing in the company and getting promotions and making $100,000 a year and, just being someone well-known in my industry. And after being in the company for 1 year, I realized that that was not going to make me happy, and that was not my path. And that might have been some other people in the company's marker of success and some other people from my degree program's marker of success when they went into the corporate world, but it was not mine. And that doesn't mean that their marker of success is bad or mine is bad. It just means that they're different. And if you can figure out and put words to your marker of success, I promise you're going to be so much happier in your life, not only in the present, but also in the long run. So let us know below what your marker of success is. I'm very curious, because I just think it's fun and interesting to see how other people view their life and what they view as a success for them. Because I think it just opens up so many more opportunities for us, because a lot of us struggle, and I know I did, with even seeing any other potential markers of success besides the basic ones that society tells us that we should follow. But that being said, that is my plan for us making this work in the next 119 days, and can't promise it's gonna work. I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but if you're curious to follow along with us, maybe give us some pointers along the way if you've been down a similar path, or just want to see if we are able to achieve our version of success or not, then definitely subscribe to follow along. And again, just let me know in the comments what you guys want to see, what exact phases of this you want to see. Do you want more behind the scenes content about it? Do you want monthly updates? Do you want financial breakdowns? Do you want how-tos of literally how we're actually doing it? Let me know all of that in the comments down below, because I really want to make content for you guys that you're actually looking for, and not just what I think would be good for you, because it's very hard to put yourself in the shoes of yourself from multiple years ago. And I'm really trying to make content for people that were in my shoes when I was in my corporate job or just left my corporate job and trying to make it work some other way in my life. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. But that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Actually, one more thing I have for you, which is that I just started creating a short series. So if you have not seen any of my shorts, go to my channel. You just go below and click on my channel page and go to shorts. You can see the newest shorts that I've created. I'm doing a 30-day series. It'll be every other day, so it'll be 15 total shorts about all of the things I unlearned after quitting my 9-to-5 job. I just wanted to point it out there, because I find that if I watch someone on long form content, I don't necessarily get recommended their shorts and vice versa. So go check out those videos if you're interested. so that you actually get shown them in your algorithm. And if you really want to make sure you see them, then hit the notification bell, because that's like the best way to make sure you're notified every time I post one. But I'm going to be posting them every other day, and I hope you guys like them. So yeah, now that's all I have for you guys in today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.